Welcome, everyone, to a special live edition of the Book Proposal Podcast. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, book proposal specialist, author of books on goals, and also author, also co-author of Active Grandparenting, which is coming out in October 2026. And I am here with my co-author, who is the pioneer of the Active Grandparenting movement, Kristen Coffield. And we've been having all these happy chats about our book, and we decided that's kind of mean. Let's let other people in on the fun. So we're doing a special book proposal podcast to just talk about this amazing book that we both love and how we got here. So Kristen, yay.
Thank you for having me here. And I think this is such an exciting opportunity to share with people not only the fantastic content that's in this book for active agers and for active grandparents, but to talk a little bit about the process of writing a book, what collaboration looks like, and why it's so important as we sort of curate our third chapter in life to surround ourselves with good energy, good information, and people that support us.
I love that. And it is really important, but I want to ask you the most important question, which is how did you become the pioneer of the active grandparenting movement? Because that kind of ties into our origin story of how the book came about.
Right. I have been in the women's wellness space forever. I was talking about food as medicine before everybody was talking about it that way. I was talking about women in midlife before the whole menopause mafia, moved into the space. And so I've been focused on how women can basically biohack, and I don't want anyone to be intimidated by that term. Biohacking simply means you are using your habits and the things you do to support how you age, to help you age better. So, speaking about biohacking for women through all their life changes, and then I become a grandparent and I start posting about the physical challenges, the wellness challenges, what it takes to show up as a modern grandparent. Because quite honestly, this is not your mom's grandparenting. I mean, my mom and my mother-in-law, they did some of those little dance classes, and they did a little as minimal exercise as possible. And they lived active lives, but I will say they weren't as actively involved in the lives of my children as I would have liked them to be. And today's grandparents, so here I am in the women's wellness space. I become a grandparent. I start posting about active grandparenting. And all of a sudden, I am hearing from thousands of grandparents in my messages and my comments about, hey, that's how I want to show up for my family. This is what I've been looking for. This information curated for grandparents that really gives them the playbook for active aging on their terms.
And obviously, they responded big time.
Yeah.
Because that then became your entire thing.
Yeah.
Right? How does it feel to have something like that thrust upon you?
Oh, it's such an honor to be leading the charge for active grandparenting and for talking to creating something for women like me who see themselves as relevant and modern and we're unique as boomers and Gen X because we share so much in common with our own children. We wear the same clothes, we listen to the same music. There's just, it's like we're one big generation, which is very different than it was with our own moms. So
Yes.
that's a biggie. The fact that we have this commonality, and then you put on top of that, finding myself at the forefront of this movement is truly an honor. But the thing that started it all was this one video I posted to Instagram, and I'm sitting on the floor holding my grandbaby. And then I stand up while still holding my grandbaby without using my hands. And I talk about how important it is to be able to get up and down off the floor without help. And it just resonated. And so many people wanted to know, okay, now I want to be able to, how do I do that? How do I do that thing?
It is a magic trick that
Trick.
it and I sometimes succeed without a kid in my hand, but whenever I stand up, I do try and do it because if you can do it holding a kid,
Yes.
I should be able to do it not
Yeah.
holding a kid. So you and I met through our friend Vivica von Rosen, and I actually wrote about you for Women's World a couple years ago. And then I started writing for Third Act Magazine, and I'm like, I have to interview Kristen. So I did. And as you know, as a lot of people know, I believe that if you have knowledge, part of the gift is being able to share that knowledge. And I said, Kristen, where's your book? Because if you don't
Mhm.
write it, someone else will.
Yeah.
And you said,
I said, "Well, Deb, I have a book in mind, but I'm really looking for a writing partner. And you were already doing so much with your own books. You had so many connections and so much wisdom to share. I was thinking to myself, wow, I wonder if she'd consider partnering with me to bring this book to life, because I already published a book on my own, and I knew how much work it was, but this was a much bigger project. And my vision for it, it was part cookbook, part exercise book. It includes my wellness programs. And then there's a whole bunch of information on modern grandparenting and the kind of social, emotional, psychological stuff that modern grandparents are dealing with that our own parents weren't dealing with when we had our kids. And I felt it was so much bigger than me that I really needed a co author to navigate some of the technical aspects of it, because at heart, I'm a creator. I'm a visionary. I'm a creator. I've always been like a step or two ahead of what's trending, which hasn't really worked in my favor
yet.
yet. And that's why I knew I was the right person in the right place at the right time with the right idea. And I needed the right partner to help me bring it to life. And that's how we met. I really had to sell you
You
on the
did.
idea, because you're not a parent, you're not a grandparent, and so it maybe seemed a little foreign to you, but you're so good at what you do. I knew that between the two of us we could really create something very special.
Which we actually did. And I think also the lesson in this, because let's bring into book proposals for a second, is you said, hey Deb, want to work on this book with me, or the book proposal, and then when we get the book deal, we write the book together. And I said, you do realize I am single and child free. And you said, you know your lane, Deb, really well. I know my lane. And it really turned out to be the perfect partnership. But the lesson is you do need to think about it. It
Yeah.
definitely, what I think, we talked back and forth for a month before I said, okay, let's do it. So when you are looking to collaborate, you do want it to be the right fit, because, and I say this to my authors all the time, you better love your topic, because if you're lucky, you are going to be living with it for a long time. Same thing with a writing partner.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of, and I think our energy match was the biggest reason for both of us to say yes, because you want somebody as invested in the project as you. And I get to say, oh, I'm single, child free, and co-author of an active grandparenting book. I mean, That alone, I think, is worth price of admission, right?
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we wrote our book proposal and our agent sent it as an exclusive to Skyhorse, and they said yes within a month, which does not happen very often, but I like to tell this story because it does happen. I hear all the time, oh, it's going to be years and years and years. Why should I bother? Well, it can take years or it can take a year because we got the yes last fall. We turned in the manuscript in January and the book will be out in October. So it's a year, people, which is, I mean, mind blowing, right?
I think for a lot of people, where our situation was a little bit different was I already had this program, Active Grandparenting 101, and I knew it was the framework for a book. And I think one of the things you are so helpful with, so I already had this concept, but for so many authors, they're really struggling to distill their message. And that's where I know you are so helpful for so many people. I mean, you've helped so many authors go from, idea to book proposal. And the fact you just said it, you bet you have to really love your topic because you're going to be living with it for a long time. And I would say both of us, by that last go round, it's really hard to look at your content one more. It's so hard to look at it that one last time. You're just like, oh, really? I can't see the forest through the trees. So you've got to love your topic. You've got to distill your topic down to a great idea. And that's what you really help authors do so that it can become a book pitch that really makes sense. And what I love for us was the fact that we were pitching a book whose time had come. And the Skyhorse identified immediately that there is a tremendous amount of interest right now in what modern grandparenting looks like. And there are books out there that tell about the grandparent's journey and grandparent relationships and share yoga. But there really wasn't, I love to use the analogy because when I was growing up, the preppy handbook was kind of a thing, right? And there really wasn't a handbook for active grandparenting, for grandparents who wanted to show up relevant and modern and helpful while keeping their own identity, not getting lost as a grandparent, but showing up as a partner with parents. So instead of the top down parenting, we switch to this side by side partnering with parents. And I think that was so interesting to Skyhorse that we had this unique approach to what modern grandparenting actually looks like.
What also really sticks out, so you had the program and we use that to create the outline. We use that for the overview, what's in the book. But the comp titles, which are usually you want 5 that are out within 5 years. I think we cheated. We had a couple because there were some books that were, this is what you eat to age well. This is how you exercise to age well. But in looking at what was out there, there was not a recipe that included all of the books. And that was part of the thing, is it is a one-stop shop. And so you start what we had the idea fully formed before we even jumped in to the proposal, because it was based on what you've been teaching. And it's like an all-in-one. So the first section is the active grandparenting framework. And from there we go to hydration, because anybody who knows Kristen Coffield knows that hydration is a secret to everything. And then we've got exercise, or how to be active grandparent fit is what we call it. And then eating well, and then sleeping well. No, we do sleep before you. Order does not matter. And then we end with a mini cookbook with easy family-friendly recipes. So it literally is all in one. But for the purposes of the book proposal, we are saying this piece is good, but it also needs this piece of this piece. This
Right.
piece is good, but we've incorporated everything. And even though someone like me can skip the entire first section, the rest of it is all about aging and living well. And I do know that through osmosis and hanging out with Kristen, I exercise more, I drink more water. So that's, the added educational benefit from this Gen Xer is there is that value. So we got the yes in the fall, and then it was originally due the beginning of January, and then we got a little bit of leeway because of all the holidays. And right now we're recording this in the middle of June, and just this week we did get the final thing, which is kind of, yeah, mind blowing. And we did both go like, I love this book, can't look at it anymore. I love this book, I can't look at it anymore. But one of the things that I loved about working with our publisher is it was a brain outside of ours. I mean, we were lucky because we were two people working on a project, but imagine because our editor was like, what do you want us to? Oh, we should do a shout out for Jesse McHugh. Thank you, Jesse. You are amazing. But he said, what do you want me to keep in mind when I'm going through your manuscript? And we're like, redundancies. We think we got them all, but we probably didn't. And we didn't. And he came back with feedback, maybe merge these two chapters and these other chapters. And that's what happens when you're working in this professional setting. Everybody wants a win-win. I say this a lot. Your agent wants a book they can sell, your publisher wants a book they can sell, and they need to sell it internally before you get your green light. But being in this team effort to get the best possible book, and the other nuance that changed is originally we were just going to have Kristen's family picks at the beginning of each section, but they were so good. It's like more. So now at the beginning of each chapter, there is a beautiful aspirational family photo with Kristen or her husband and the grandkids, just showing, not just telling you what to do, but showing what is possible. So, how does it feel to have your face all over the book?
Well, let's be clear that I tried not to have my face all over the book. That a lot of the photographs are images of me with my grandchildren that are representative of the very things that all active grandparents do. So, me playing with the kids on the floor, but a lot of it is really just visual inspiration versus glamour shots or anything like that. I mean, I don't want anybody to think it's a vanity project, because it's not. It's really, I think that for me, I love books with photos. I'm a chef, so I love cookbooks with beautiful photos, and I love books that inspire me. So our hope was that we had a wonderful photographer, Lisa Neighbors Photography, and she took such beautiful photographs that the publisher was like, well, we'd like to put more of these in the book because we think that they add so much. They inspire the reader to want to do more. And here's a really interesting thing about this active grandparenting. People are always struggling to make wellness changes and lifestyle changes that will support them in active aging and building resilient wellness. And the reason isn't because they don't have access or information. It really comes down to motivation. And one of the most motivating things that I found, and why I coined the term active grandparenting, is that grandchildren are one of the biggest motivators of all. And grandparents, once they become a grandparent, it's this, here's putting it to words, I want to be around for all of it. So what's it going to take? And now they're motivated. So it's an interesting phenomenon in the wellness arena that grandparenting becomes this motivating factor. And Harvard's got the active grandparent hypothesis, and that basically says, as we age, we don't get strong for any other reason than to continue our life by grandparenting. So this last third of life is really dedicated for us as grandparents. Our job is not done. We are biologically, it's in our DNA, designed to keep going. We don't get fit and then grandparent. We get fit so we can grandparent.
Or do any other number of things in the third act.
Right. And maybe you just want to be like a rock star pickleball player, or, there are some really remarkable stories, and we include them in the book, of women who are in their 70s and they're doing the Ironman.
I could not have done that in my 20s or 30s, by the way, right?
And she started swimming in her 50s. And the Ironman, for those of you who might not know, is running and swimming and biking. You have to do all three. And she was the oldest woman to complete the Ironman. So many of us find this third act is an incredible opportunity in our lives to kind of double back on unfinished work, or to double down on reconnecting with our friends and family in a way that's really meaningful to us. And that's what we really hoped the book would do, that it would inspire grandparents to kind of see this as the motivation for paying attention to their health and wellness. And quite honestly, anybody knows, nobody wants to have to be, taking care of someone who didn't take care of their own health and wellness. It is much better to be someone who takes responsibility for that and understands you're never too old and it's not too late. You can always start prioritizing your health and fitness.
And when you're healthy, when you're fit, you could do all of the things. I mean, seriously, Kristen, I do not know how you do all of these things and co-wrote a book. And now we're about to enter into this next phase. I think we'll do another one of these after we've had a little bit more information on this next phase. So part of working with the publisher is it's not just you getting your book out in the world. So this is literally like the kickoff of us talking about the book. So I feel like we're going to come back again after we've done this for a few weeks and talk a little bit more about the process. But so far, what has been your biggest joy of the process, and what has been the biggest challenge of getting a book out in the world?
Well, it's the same thing. Getting
right?
it finished, getting it finished is, I think the biggest joy is actually seeing it finished visually and seeing how beautiful this book is. And so for anybody listening, this is going to be a lovely gift for people. It's hardcover. It's got beautiful photographs. If you know someone who likes to cook, it's got great recipes. I am a chef, so it's got my best family-friendly recipes. It's a fitness book. It's a wellness book. It's a cookbook. It's a self-help book. It's all the things. So my greatest joy was seeing it all together and having it look more beautiful than I even imagined. And I'd say the biggest challenge was when you get into the nitty gritty of the editing. It is really was my least favorite part. I love the creating part. I didn't like, and which is why being partnered with someone who's got a skill set different than mine was so beneficial to bringing this book to life.
And don't get us wrong, we had so much fun with this book.
Yeah.
From from the envisioning of what the book is and creating the proposal and then putting the different pieces together, we found a good pattern for what works for us, for at least, especially in the draft process. But when we were doing the edits, we did them on Zoom together,
Mhm.
especially that first batch. We did it over the course of, I think, 2 long weekends. We did a few hours, several days in a row, and then during the week, forget it, and then did it all again.
Mhm.
And for us, that's what worked. Going through it paragraph by paragraph to get you the best possible book, but also for us to have something we're so ridiculously proud of. In all of these things, it's not getting a book out in the world, it's all of the things. So the book proposal, that is the plan for the book and who's going to read it and the marketing and all of the things. Then you have to write the book, or you get to when you're really lucky. And now we're about to enter into the phase which is spreading the word about the book, because the reason you write a proposal is to get a book deal. And the reason you try and get a book deal is because you want your book in the hands of people who don't, beyond the people who know you. And for me, the process was particularly fun because A, I get to hang out with Kristen, but B, it really helps you. Um, well, the content, at least, like I said, it's osmosis. If I go to eat something unhealthy, I'd be like, okay, Kristen would say treats are good. I can have one cookie, right? But I need to drink more water, or I need to work out or exercise. So all of that, um, living the content that you are creating, and I say this about, your goal guide and 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. I don't do I don't tell anybody to do anything I am not prepared to do myself. So this for me came out in spades. Okay, as a Generation Xer, we want to be healthy so we can do more things and help more people. And so I had the additional personal benefit of having a culinary wellness expert in my ear the whole time. So that is part of like the added benefit, but the actual joy to put together a book that is going to be helpful for so many people. That's why I do what I do, is because if you have an idea that needs to make an impact, write the proposal, get your ideas in order, and get it out so you can get a yes from a publisher. So you can be experiencing this, because honestly, this will be my third traditionally published book. Each experience has been different and they're all fun. I mean, seriously, fun.
And I think a lot of people don't realize the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing, and they just think self-publishing is going to be this easy way, oh, I'll just publish it myself. And, there's that saying, everybody's got a book in them, but not everybody should bring it to life, or it's something like that. I self-published my first book, and then How Healthy People Eat. And then a friend of mine who's in PR said, Kristen, you really need to get a publisher to pick that up. So by the time I did that, and then had to add all the footnotes and all the things, it was really a backwards way of doing it. Whereas going through this process with a traditional publisher was so gratifying, because there's a real framework that you work within. And my sister self-published her book, which is amazing, but she had to pay someone to do all this stuff that our publisher did for us. So at the end of the day, she was out, I don't know, 20K, and we got an advance.
This is a conversation I have frequently. Self is self. You're
Mhm.
doing everything, you're managing the process, and you are, if you want a professional product, then you are going to be paying a cover designer, editor, proofreader, all of the things, and you still have to figure out things like distribution, and you're not going to have the same kind of credibility. The hybrid route is basically you go one stop shopping and they take care of everything. And although there are good hybrids out there, you really need to do buyer beware, because most of them are upsell factories. Oh, well, you want this? Do this. You want that? Great. You want the marketing package? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Um, I think the better investment is in developing your concept, because in addition to the publisher doing all of the things, you've got the credibility that only comes from a publisher saying, "We believe in you. We believe in the book." Oh, and that is the other point that I'll make is an investor. A publisher is not just investing in the book; they're investing in the author or authors. They want to find partners that they can work with that are enthusiastic about the topic and excited about getting it out in the world. And part of why we're doing this is, it's Kristen's topic, but it's my enthusiasm. And I'm like, okay, how do I show up as the co-author of a book on active grandparenting? I do the Deb thing, which is, hey, let's have a conversation, let's share the process, and let people know that whatever it is that you want to get out in the world, sit on it, mull on it, create it, and do the things, because there are people you don't know that need to hear your words. And that only happens when you go traditional. Yeah. So there's that.
There's that.
Yay. Okay, so you can learn more at activegrandparenting.com. That's got the links. You can grab it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble,
bookstore,
bookshop, bookstore, right? Yeah. I don't know why that word just did not leave my head, but you can pre-order at your favorite place to buy books. It will be out in October. Super excited. And of course, you want to be following Kristen on Instagram, and you want to be signed up for the newsletter to get updates, because we're going to have a lot of fun events. And I look forward to you being in LA, because we'll do some here. But you're already thinking a lot on your part of the country. But you definitely want to be following Kristen to learn more and get all these bonus tips as we're ramping up, getting ready to release the book. What final thought do you have? What do you want to leave people with, Kristen?
I just want to tell everybody out there, whether you're an active ager or a grandparent in training or already an active grandparent, I think you would find something of value in the book, even if it's just my amazing recipes. And this book's going to make a lovely gift. And if you are interested in speaking to me personally, I answer every single message I get in my DM. So if you have questions about active grandparenting, and I know Deb is, she's amazing. I can't say enough good things about what this experience was like. So if you've got an idea for a book, let's make sure you get it out there.
Well, thank you for that. So yes, activegrandparenting.com. Follow Kristen on Instagram. I am at the Deb Method everywhere on social media. And if you want to learn more about getting your idea out in the world, go to thebookproposalexpert.com or send me a message, deb@thebookproposalexpert.com, so we can get your idea out of your head into a book proposal and out into the hands of the people who need to read it. Thank you, Krista. This is, we hang out all the time, but we don't always let other people watch. So thank you for the time today. Thank you for tuning in. Again, you can pre-order Active Grandparenting at your favorite place to buy books. Stay tuned for more videos and exciting tips and events as we get the book out into the world. And in the meantime, take care of yourself. Age well, because the better you are, the more you can do, the bigger impact you can have on the world.